I never thought it was such a bad little tree. It's not bad at all, really. Maybe it just needs a little love.
You're listening to the Mike Cara radio program, I Am the Nation, proudly broadcasting from Woodridge, Illinois, USA, planet Earth.
Welcome back to another edition of the Mike Cara radio program, Eye on the Nation. We definitely have our eye on the nation, as always, proudly broadcasting from Woodridge, Illinois, USA, planet Earth. And my next guest is Dr. Elmo Shropshire, more known as Dr. Elmo. Of course, Dr. Elmo is a great singer, songwriter, performer, and is known for the song Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. And of course, I'm 37 years old. I'll say that, Dr. Elmo. And if you do the mathematical calculations, that was right around when I was growing up when this song premiered. So you're kind of like one of my heroes, because I literally grew up with that song. And I have to say that your song, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, with respect to other songs, is one song that never got annoying to me. So I'm sure you hear that a lot, where, you know, the song is just timeless. But we want to talk a little bit, of course, all about Grandma, but tell us a little bit, Dr. Elmo, about your background. You have a little interesting background that you actually got into veterinary medicine and then kind of moved into the bluegrass world. But give our audience a little bit about your background.
Well, I was raised in Kentucky on a tobacco/horse farm, and I used to work in tobacco there, and then I started riding horses and wanted to be a jockey. But when I got too big to be a jockey, I was about 18 and grew about 6 inches taller. And so I thought, well, I could do the next best thing and become a veterinarian. So I went to University of Florida, then went to Auburn University to do my medical training, and then I became a veterinarian, and and I worked on the racetrack in New York for a little while, and then I guess when I was around maybe 34, 35 years old, I got interested in music for the first time and started playing, and right away I could tell whenever I sang songs, if I sang a serious song, people would, you know, snicker a little bit and think it was kind of funny, so I thought, well, maybe I should go with the flow and start singing funny songs so we could be laughing together.
Oh, fantastic. And tell our audience a little bit about, how you came up with the idea. We understand now you actually got this particular song was written by a friend, and then you thought it would make a good song then?
That's right. I was writing and singing some funny songs at the time, and this friend of mine, well, he became a friend. I was up in Lake Tahoe playing at a casino, and after the show, this guy came up and he said, I have this song I think would be perfect for you. And so I invited him up on stage to sing it, and he sang Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. And immediately I thought, wow, that's a really interesting concept, Grandma getting throttled at Christmas. And if nothing else, I think it would pique people's interest just to hear it. But I thought it would probably be funny for 1 year, and then that would be the end of it. But here we are 32 years later, and, the song is still has, Grandma still has legs.
Exactly. So as far as Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, it is kind of the quintessential Christmas song. You mentioned that, you started, recording it, around 1979, 1980, but how did the song take off? I mean, how, besides being an awesome song, I mean, did it kind of make its way, through radio stations or?
Well, it did. It kind of started and stopped for a little while. The first year it came out was 79. I was still pretty much a full-time veterinarian, and I just made it as a gag gift for some of my friends. 500 vinyl 45s was the least you could have made, and I had 500 made. And I gave out a few to my friends for just, gag gifts for Christmas. And it didn't even occur to me to take it to a radio station. One of my friends took it to a local radio station in San Francisco, and one day I was driving to work, and the disc jockey came on, and he said, well, we've got this song, and some people love it and some people hate it, but if we get 50 requests for it, we'll play it. So a lot of people started calling in and saying they liked it, and some other people called in and said they never wanted to hear it again. And I was really interested to know what song this could be. And so after they got the 50th request, suddenly he starts playing Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. And I couldn't believe it. That was the first time I ever heard myself on radio. And I had all kinds of emotions. First of all, I thought, how great to be on the radio. And then the next thought, I said, I sound terrible. I didn't know my voice was this bad. And, you know, all these emotions were running through me. And so at the end of that year, it was really exciting. I thought, wow, you know, that was fun, but I guess it's over now. And I didn't expect it to keep coming back every year.
Fantastic, but it did. And also, Dr. Elmo, we understand, of course, growing up is the music video to Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. And tell our audience a little bit about, now I understand that this was filmed actually in your living room. Was that right? Or?
Yes, it was. I lived on a little ranch, and so I decided to make this video. And even though we made it in my living room, it still cost a lot of money. We shot it on film, and I hired a director and someone to help produce it. So we completely redid my living room and put lights in it just like it was a television studio. And took a week, two 16-hour days of shooting to make that 3-minute video. And it cost almost $30,000. That was back in 1983. It was a huge amount of money then. And it was especially a huge amount of money because I hadn't sold any copies yet. They were playing it on the radio, but it wasn't in any stores to be bought because I didn't know how to distribute it. But anyway, when I finished making the video, I thought, wow, you know, I've really lost my mind now. I spent this $30,000 and nothing's going to happen. So I sent it to MTV and didn't hear anything for a while. And then I guess around maybe like end of November, they called up and said, wow, we got this video and we love it and we want to play it. And I said, who is this? And they said, this is really MTV. So they started playing it. And then the following year is the first year we started getting any record distribution. I pitched to every record company between 79 and 83, and they all turned me down, you know, right away. And then CBS Records picked it up in 1984, and that year, for Christmas, people had been hearing the song for 4 years already, but they couldn't buy it. So in December of that year, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, the single and the album, was the biggest selling song on Epic Records. And that same year, Michael Jackson's Thriller was also on Epic Records. So for the month of December, I was the biggest seller, but not for all time.
Wow, so you actually beat out Michael Jackson. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, for a month. I know, yeah. And the people at CBS, they were flabbergasted. They had no idea. No, of course, neither did I. You know, nobody knew that there were that many people who liked the song and were willing to buy it.
Fantastic. And I always like the video, Dr. Elmo, because, you know, we never remember. Of course, I'm a spoiler alert here. I'm going to give away the video. So if you haven't seen it, which I hope you have, you know, at the end, Grandma comes back and is all well and good. So, I mean, was that your intention then? Was that Grandma was not killed and she was okay? And or people take their own interpretations of the song? Or
everyone has their own interpretation. People who sort of like the Hollywood endings like to see Grandma come back, and people who may have a darker sense of humor like to think maybe she didn't come back.
Exactly. And now, as far as now, you were actually in that video, Dr. Elmo, yourself then?
Yes, I played the part of Grandpa and Grandma. I played both parts in the video.
Oh, fantastic. And another thing we also want to mention, Dr. Elmo, is you mentioned that this was actually a whole album, and I actually have that particular album actually on a cassette tape. That ages me, but I mean, this was actually part of a whole Christmas album then.
Yes, it was. Well, we was trying to get distribution for the song, and first we sent the single to all the record companies, and at the time they said, well, we're not selling singles much these days. We need an album. So then I made a whole album of songs and tried to pitch that to CBS. And, of course, that album has done pretty well for them since. Actually, it's gone went platinum a few times.
Okay, Dr. Elmo, you know what? That sounds great. What we are going to do is we are going to take a break. Today, my guest is the one and only Dr. Elmo. Of course, Dr. Elmo, known for that famous and awesome song, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. And we want to thank Dr. Elmo, definitely probably one of the legends in the Christmas song business. And we want to thank Dr. Elmo so much for I'm excited. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this, Dr. Elmo is one of my all-time heroes. I remember literally growing up in the 80s, and that song, Just Like a Small World, I know this is starting to sound weird, never got annoying. And for me, the passion of Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer always remains, and it's just iconic. And it's so great to talk to the man that created that, and a cartoon came from that, as well as many a parody song from Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. And also one thing I do want to mention is that Dr. Elmo, besides having this one song, has tons of Christmas songs, dozens upon dozens. He's have 5 or 6 Christmas albums. So after this, I'm going to purchase some of those, and all of them are, very similar in quality to Grandma, and it's great because there's so many other songs. So if you like Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, you're going to love all these other Christmas songs. And Dr. Elmo is definitely Mr. Christmas, and he's also actually got a cruise, a holiday cruise, which we'll be telling you about a little bit later. Again, my guest is the one and only Dr. Elmo, and you are indeed listening to the Mike Kara radio program, Eye on the Nation. We definitely have our Eye on the Nation, as always, proudly broadcasting from Woodridge, Illinois, USA, planet Earth. And besides thanking Dr. Elmo so much for stopping by, again, I'm really excited. I'm also equally excited that you, the radio listener of the Mike Kara radio program, Eye on the Nation, could join me today and join us for this simply awesome and legendary performer and his interview. So we thank you so much. And again, please stay with us for our next segment of this edition of our program today.
Hey there, how's it going? This is Bob Reichert with the Woodridge VFW, and you're listening to the Mike Kara radio program, Eye on the Nation, proudly broadcasting from Woodridge, Illinois, USA, planet Earth.
Well, welcome back to our next segment of this edition of the Mike Kara radio program, Eye on the Nation. We definitely have our Eye on the Nation, as always, proudly broadcasting from Woodridge, Illinois, USA, planet Earth. And my guest today is the one and only Dr. Elmo Shropshire, who is, of course, known for that great song, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, which is simply iconic. You can't go, I don't think, anywhere in the entire universe, not only the planet Earth, without hearing this great song. And like I said, I'm sure it's very similar. A lot of our listeners probably agree with this statement. A song like this never gets annoying, nor does A Small World, because it is such a fun song. And like I said, this song didn't necessarily start out to change the world. Dr. Elmo did not necessarily say that this song is going to be the greatest Christmas song in the history of mankind and civilization. It is going to end wars and famine and do all these interesting things and wonderful things. But what he wanted to do is provide a fun and, uplifting and warm song, Christmas song. Of course, Grandma Getting Run Over by a Reindeer, not necessarily the most, uplifting subject, but it's kind of fun that Grandma does, come back, and she's okay, but again, she had too much eggnog. So, you gotta not necessarily hide the eggnog when Grandma's, at the holiday Christmas party or holiday pageant, but you just got, maybe Frosty the Snowman needs to be the designated driver or something, just to make sure that Grandma is indeed okay. Again, my guest is the one and only Dr. Elmo, who is, of course, the performer and artist of Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. And I also want to let you know, if you really love Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, and we know a lot of listeners out there do, there are so many great Christmas albums that Dr. Elmo has. They're just there waiting to be purchased, waiting to be bought. And of course, we're now on, not unfortunately, but we're here in April. I'll say this, it is never, ever too early to get Christmas presents, and this is the perfect Christmas present for your boss, your just an acquaintance, your fellow coworker, and again, Dr. Elmo, I expect my check to be in the mail, but maybe the mill and the mail, one of the two, but no, it's always been exciting for me, and I probably couldn't have did an interview like this back in the 80s. I would have just been brewing and overflowing with such excitement. But as a professional journalist, I'm here to say that is a pleasure and honor indeed to interview the one and only Dr. Elmo. And also, besides thanking Dr. Elmo so much for stopping by, we want to thank you, each and every one of our listeners, our radio listeners for the Mike Kara radio program, Eye on the Nation. We definitely appreciate the time and effort you're taking to enjoy this program today. Again, my guest is Dr. Elmo, and Dr. Elmo, it's a pleasure and honor that you can join me today. Indeed, thanks so much. Like we were mentioning that Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer is definitely a iconic song. And we understand, I just saw this a few years ago, that they actually made a cartoon of Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, and you actually voiced Grandpa.
Yes, I wrote the script for the cartoon or the story, and I was the narrator for the cartoon, and also played the voice part of Grandpa, and was kind of co-produced it with a man named Fred Rappaport from which was CBS in Los Angeles. It's now out on Time Warner, but and so that cartoon has been playing for the last 10 years, and it's been quite a popular cartoon.
Fantastic. And we understand that, Dr. Elmo, every Christmas is, you do a big tour and you're out and about then to kind of, celebrate Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer then?
Yes. Every year, usually I go out maybe November 15th. And one of the great things about this song is I get to play on a lot of Christmas concerts. And I get to play with some acts that I wouldn't even be able to afford a ticket to get in to see them. But since I have the Grandma song, I can kind of hang out backstage with them. I played at one of the Jingle Ball concerts where they usually have a lot of young upcoming acts, and I played on that with Hilary Duff, Avril Lavigne, and Gwen Stefani. And then I played on another show recently in Los Angeles with Pat Benatar and George Thorogood and Peter Frampton. And so it was really great to be on shows with these, some of these big stars, people that I always idolized, in music, and then get to meet them personally backstage, thanks to the Grandma song.
Fantastic. And now, Dr. Elmo, we want to let everyone know that there's Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, but we also understand, Dr. Elmo, that you've actually released it's 5 or 6 Christmas albums. So, you have basically a lot of, if people like Grandma, you have basically dozens of Christmas songs they could enjoy then.
I do, yes. After the Grandma song, I started writing a lot of other Christmas songs and so a couple of albums of Halloween songs, and I started out as a bluegrass player, actually, and so in the last year I just released 2 bluegrass albums. One of them was a bluegrass Christmas album, and the other one is just an album of the bluegrass band that I've been playing with for the last 20 years.
Oh, fantastic. And as we mentioned that now the album is, the band is Wild Blue, is that it, or?
Wild Blue, yes.
Oh, fantastic. And we also want to let everyone know that you were actually playing, as we mentioned, bluegrass even before Grandma. So, I mean, bluegrass has kind of been a part of, your repertoire for many years.
It has been, yeah. I've always been kind of an avid student of the banjo. And so I've been a bluegrass banjo player for years, and I've continued to play bluegrass banjo. But when the Grandma song came out, we had, when I started to, I don't know how to put this, but when the Grandma song came out, it sort of sidetracked my bluegrass career, because I started writing a lot of funny and, humorous Christmas songs and promoting those. And so even though I was playing some small gigs as a bluegrass player, most of my energy was going into, producing new Christmas songs and some Halloween songs for the record company that I was with.
Fantastic. And I'm sure, Dr. Elmo, it was kind of hard then to do these, wild blue concerts then, especially after Grandma came out, without doing a vert. Now, when you do Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, do you have more of a bluegrass version that you do with your band, or?
I do have a straight bluegrass version that I do. I even have a bluegrass banjo instrumental of Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, with some really great bluegrass players playing on it. So for those of you that don't particularly like the lyrics, you can hear the music without the lyrics, and you don't have to worry about Grandma, getting throttled with that version of it.
Right, and we also mentioned, Dr. Elmo, that you actually have, besides Christmas albums, a Halloween album. And I guess our listeners are wondering, how did actually the Halloween album all come about then?
Well, I had, actually we were doing pretty well. The people at Sony BMG said that, the Christmas album was doing so well that they'd like to have me make a Halloween album. And I guess that's the album that I'm most proud of as far as the writing and the music, even though it's not a bluegrass album, but it was one of the more fun albums I've ever worked on. And we have a lot of songs on it. There's a song called Redneck Dracula and The Witch and the Toad. And we just made up 12 new original Halloween songs, because we thought maybe the Monster Mash could use a little break.
Hey, exactly. And another song on this album, Dr. Elmo, of course, is actually you parodied your own song here. It was Grandma Just Run Over via Broomstick. So that was a pretty good one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we always had to put Grandma in there somewhere.
Exactly. And speaking of parodies, one thing that we've noticed that there has been countless numbers, and I have probably listened to all the parodies of your song, and that's probably pretty cool. And I'm sure then you probably get royalties and residuals from those parodies. So I mean, it's a great almost franchise. Grandma is then.
Well, it really has been. One wonderful thing about that song that I had no idea when I was making the video, and had buyer's remorse after, spending all that money on the video. There's a company that started making reindeer. The reindeer would be in rocking chairs, and they've on pogo sticks, but they would all sing "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer," and that company has sold maybe like 3.5 million of these toys, and it's been a wonderful. It's been a wonderful thing, for the song and for me that this song is so marketable in so many different directions. It's also been out a lot on sheet music, and Hallmark has a whole bunch has a lot of cards and this beautiful little collector's item tree ornament that actually sings "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer." It's a reindeer in a little car.
Oh, that's pretty cool, Dr. Elmo. So, yeah, there's a lot of, promotional items or merchandise that went with Grandma then.
Yeah, it's amazing enough. I didn't know it in the beginning. I didn't even think it would get past the first year. But later on, it was you know, it really is one of the most marketable songs that I've ever known of, you know, because there's a movie about it and there's all these toys, and it's just really been a wonderful, you know, just been a wonderful thing for me.
Yeah, exactly. And as we mentioned, Dr. Elmo, that you have a lot of great Christmas albums, and some of the titles here are pretty cool. And you know, just to encourage our audience, if they're into some intriguing Christmas songs, you have a song on Up Your Chimney. I like that title of the album, and one of the songs is Texas Chainsaw Christmas. So we encourage people to check that song out then.
Yeah, that one came along a few years after the Grandma song, and since it just sort of raises the bar for Christmas violence from the Grandma got run over by a reindeer, which now is almost a Disney-like song.
Okay, Dr. Elmo, you know what? That sounds great. What we are going to do is we are going to indeed take a quick break, and we will be back. My guest today is Dr. Elmo, who is the one and only performer of the great Christmas song, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. And it is so exciting to have the man that probably created one. It could possibly be the greatest Christmas song in the history of mankind and civilization. And I am going to openly admit this is internet radio, that the fact that I've probably seen that video literally 371 times. And it is such an awesome video. And for me, Dr. Elmo is one of my heroes, and I wish I could have came up with that song. And it's a great song, and you got to check it out. It's on YouTube. It's on Dr. Elmo's website for our younger. And what's pretty awesome is, I think even for our younger listeners, they're aware of Dr. Elmo, or at least aware of the song. And for our younger listeners, and we know there's a lot of hip, cool cat dudes out there, totally wicked, awesome people. Well, maybe not. That, Dr. Elmo not only has this song, he has tons of great music, Christmas music. He also has a Halloween album. He's got into the Halloween music making business. And also he has a great bluegrass band, and they have got a great album and wild bluegrass. And you definitely got to check that out. And like we mentioned, that Dr. Elmo has been performing bluegrass even before Grandma, and he currently does it now. So Dr. Elmo has so many great things that he's doing. Again, my guest is Dr. Elmo, and we want to thank Dr. Elmo, and we also want to thank each and every one of our radio listeners today that are enjoying this great program, this great edition of the Mike Care radio program, Eye on the Nation. We definitely appreciate each and every one of you joining us today and enjoying this great program. You are listening to the Mike Care radio program, Eye on the Nation. We definitely have our eye on the nation, as always, proudly broadcasting from Woodridge, Illinois, USA, planet Earth. And please stay with us for our final segment of this edition of our program today.
This is Christmas? Well, maybe I got the wrong place. Well, I know I'm close, so I think I'll just take a short nap and then I'll go out and look again.
Hey, little bear, wake up.
Oh, I'm glad to see you. I think I must have gotten probably the wrong address.
No, you got the right one.
You mean I can find Christmas here?
Yes, you can. Christmas is going to be here in just a few minutes. But you must remember what I told you. Christmas is that certain glow that just can't be defined. It's a happy feeling deep inside that you get when you are kind.
I thought I heard a noise in here.
I did too. Oh, Mommy, Daddy, look, it's the little bear. I knew Santa would bring him.
You're listening to the Mike Cara radio program, Eye on the Nation, proudly broadcasting from Woodridge, Illinois, USA, planet Earth.
Well, welcome back to our very last segment of this edition of the Mike Kara Radio program, Eye on the Nation. We definitely have our Eye on the Nation, as always, proudly broadcasting from Woodridge, Illinois, USA, planet Earth. My guest today is the one and only Dr. Elmo Shropshire, who is, of course, the author and performer. Well, I shouldn't necessarily say author, but more or less the arranger and performer of Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. And it is simply a pleasure and joy to have Mr. Dr. Elmo, I guess you could say, Shropshire, here on the phone, calling us from beautiful California, USA, and we definitely thank Dr. Elmo for his time. And Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, for me, is probably one of the most iconic songs out there. And Dr. Elmo, again, one of my heroes in music. And it's so exciting because it would be great. Okay, you have this song, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. That's it. That's it. You know, that would be something. That would be quite a franchise, quite a legacy. But Dr. Elmo has, it must be dozens upon dozens of Christmas songs. He also has, besides 5 or 6 Christmas albums, he has a bluegrass album. He has a song of funny songs that are not around Christmas or Halloween. He has a Halloween album. He's even parodied his own song, Halloween song, Grandma Just Run Over via Broomstick. And of course, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer has been parodied so many times by so many artists, and it is just great to talk to the master, to the original creator of Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, as well as the original creator of some great bluegrass, as well as some great Christmas songs, Halloween songs. And one final time, you know, if you are listening to this before, I'd say maybe December 1st, maybe even before that, of 2011, and you would like to take an awesome cruise. Now, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I have got a very exciting opportunity for you. You know, you say, how in the world can I combine Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, my sheer love for that, and the love of great Christmas songs and Dr. Elmo and all of that, with taking a cruise? Well, Dr. Elmo, for the first time to the public, he's done this before, you know, for private situations and parties, he is having a special cruise, and we're going to have some information. Again, check his website, check our website, and if you'd like to take a cruise with Dr. Elmo, you know, heck, I may even sign up myself. Where's that number? Because this is such an exciting opportunity. So if you have a chance, please, consider that. If you're looking for a Christmas cruise, you know, we want to encourage people to go to Disney World and Epcot Center for Christmas. But if you're looking for something a little different, you want to take a fantastic cruise, this sounds like this is going to be an opportunity, and to meet Dr. Elmo and, even play with him. And we'll have some information about that at the end, and as well as on our website. So one final time, Dr. Elmo, it is a pleasure and honor you can join me today. As well as thanking Dr. Elmo, we would like to thank each and every one of you out there in Radio Land listening to this great program. It is because of awesome guests like Dr. Elmo Shropshire that we're able to put on this show, but is also equally important that we have great and awesome listeners like yourself out there in Radio Land. So from the bottom of my heart, with all sincerity, as Charlie Brown would say, thank you very much for listening to a great show. And this is an exciting one. They're all special, they're all exciting, they're all important, but this is one that I take very personally and hits home because this song is such iconic, and there's so much that goes along with Dr. Elmo. It just doesn't stop at this song. So thanks everyone for making this show great, and thank you, Dr. Elmo, so much for being here.